A younger version of me was dreaming a couple of years back about a perfect smartphone that would essentially have everything that I wanted from it. From the battery that would be easily lasting a day and a half or even more on regular use, in a compact and well-designed body that is light and very easy to hold, with an amazing display that is totally bezel-less, and a camera that can be almost like real life and covering all the zooming ranges that I need. And this is it. This phone right here that I've been using for the past 2 or so months. If you've been waiting for a peak smartphone, there's not much more that is going to be added than what's currently right here. The iPhone 15 Pro comes as a first redesign after 3 generations of those sharp, bold edges, and it really feels to me they just looked at the last year's 14 Pro and improved or corrected everything that was lacking or bad. First off, starting with the design. I'm a person that usually carries my phone without the case, with just a MagSafe wallet attached to the back, which is actually something I really recommend because you get the best of both worlds, feeling those smooth and premium sides, as well as having a really good grip. And the two things that I really had an issue with were the weight and these sharp edges. Even though stainless steel is really strong, it comes with a gigantic cost of being very heavy. And while those sharp edges really do look cool to me, they're really not comfortable to hold after a certain period. So having this new titanium frame with the slightly curved edges just fixes everything. I was stunned with how light this phone feels in the hand compared to the 14 Pro. On paper, it's just 10% lighter, but they also redistributed the center of gravity. And with also these slightly curved edges, I gotta say, this is one of the nicest phones to hold in the hand ever. Apart from the natural titanium also being my favorite iPhone color ever. And speaking of the new design, the thing that grew on me the most is the action button. This is the first time in history that Apple has replaced the mute switch. And I just gotta say, finally. This was by far the most useless button, because I practically never have my sound turned on, as none of you should. So I definitely knew that I would be using this button for something, but I just couldn't figure out for what. The camera and the flashlight are still right there on the lock screen, so then the shortcuts really caught my attention. And first I had it for opening notes, just because it's an app that I really use a lot, but then I heard Marquez talking about he uses it for Google Assistant instead of Siri, which really gave me an idea. I also use it for the voice assistant, but instead of Google, I straight up downloaded ChatGPT. And this new update where you can just start a conversation with it with just your voice came at a perfect moment. I really thought about it, and I cannot possibly think of a better way of utilizing this button, especially in 2023 where this incredible tool is readily available to you. So I ask it for whatever at least a couple times during the day, and sometimes I just catch myself having a 10-minute long conversation with it. Hopefully I gave some of you an idea, and I just know that you will enjoy it. Continuing with the design, from the front as well, this is also my favorite iPhone ever, because the curve on the back is exactly the same as the one on the front. So yes, even though it's minimal, this is the first iPhone ever with the curved glass. And even though it can pose some durability concerns, interacting with it feels amazing. And the display is one of the things that remained absolutely the same, which somewhat surprised me because now the only difference between the Pro and non-Pro iPhones is the ProMotion. But if anything, this really speaks to the point of iPhone reaching its peak that I was speaking of. I mean, how much further can you go from 2000 nits, almost 2K, high refresh screen that is LTPO, meaning it can go all the way down to 1 Hz and be an always-on display or a standby home hub, which I'm also using it for all the time. There's really not much more you can reach. I mean, I guess more brightness, but then you really start seeing diminishing returns. This phone also has world's first commercially available 3nm processor, the A17 Pro, which is drastically more efficient, with the biggest accent being on improved graphics. They really took their time on the presentation to show this, especially in the gaming department, where now you can literally play PlayStation 5 games on this thing. I've made a video reviewing the 2022 Apple TV, and it really struck me how in 1 year they jumped from A12 all the way to A15. So since we can really see Apple focusing more and more on gaming, I'm convinced that if any company can start branding brand new in the gaming industry and disrupt the entire thing, it's Apple right now. So just imagine putting the A17 Pro in the next-gen Apple TV. That thing could be potentially competing with other gaming consoles like Xbox and PlayStation. So this chip, along with the slightly bigger battery capacities, along with them also tackling the constant overheating issue that caused a lot of trouble on the 14 Pro, even though on paper Apple practically says they have the same video playback time, after a couple of days of using this phone, I turned on the 80% charging limit, and since then I turned it off only 2 times just when I'm traveling. With this 80% charging limit, I can still use it for more than a day. And since now I'm also using USB-C, the correct port, even though when I'm in a tight situation, there's always gonna be at least one cable somewhere near. Apple has been for years pushing this closed ecosystem idea, but I just couldn't see it with the constant need for Lightning. Now I can truly say that I'm in a perfect ecosystem, since my MacBook, my iPad, even my camera, and now my new AirPods and iPhone 15 Pro use all the same port. And you can really see a theme throughout this video of them just looking at the last year's 14 Pro and adjusting and tweaking everything that was not correct. So now when I look at that phone, it almost feels like an unfinished product. Something like the S20 Ultra was back in 2020. And that brings me to my last point, the cameras. Do you know how Samsung has been bragging of having 100 or now even 200 megapixel camera? Well, it turns out it's almost all marketing and very negligible. Because if you want to shoot in that full resolution, you would need to wait for way longer for the picture to process, and it can also be basically used only in perfect conditions. And that applies to every phone that came out with above 12 megapixels. The only thing this is useful for is a thing called pixel binning, where your phone takes 4, 9 or even 12 pixels and combine them into one. So that was basically the only way more pixels could help you. Until now. When you just open up the camera app and tap the shoot button on this phone, the amount of information that you get is actually staggering. And it all became possible because of the A17 Pro that I was just speaking about. First of all, photos are shot natively in 24 megapixels instead of 12, which is basically double the resolution of any other phone. But because of Apple's optimization, files are only 50% bigger instead of double. Second, every photo now has a portrait mode included. So you can easily change where do you want focus to be on after the fact. Cinematic mode is also something I use quite a lot, even for some B-rolls for this channel, and I guarantee 99% of people would never notice a difference. So in conclusion, this thing is by far my favorite and most important gadget that I ever owned, because it improved all the things that I was asking for, from being extremely lightweight, a perfect hold in the hand, USB-C, the display, the color, the design, the more battery, and now in 2023 I can finally confidently say that smartphones have reached their peak. This phone has set such a high ceiling that everything after this would be just a slight tweak, and even though I will in the future eventually switch from the 15 Pro, I will not be looking for anything more from a phone than what I'm currently using. And with this, I just want to say thank you for sticking until the end. If you want to support me, you can like this video and maybe subscribe and visit my Patreon and my website. Thanks for watching.